So this is a presentation on how to give and get referrals that matter, and it seems like that seems to be a really popular conversation. I just kind of threw it out there, and I was a little bit surprised. For those who I have not met yet, I'm Denise O'Malley. I'm the founder of You Define Wellness. And how this came about was that I am very blessed in that I get referrals literally every single day. And it's wonderful. But the problem is that they don't tend to translate at a rate that I would like to have it. So I decided, well, let's teach how to give and get referrals that matter. So let's start off real quick by each of you introducing yourselves and just say what it is that you do really quick. So let's start with, okay, I'm sorry, V2. What was your first name again?
Verena.
Verena. Okay, so tell us who you are and what you do and where you live.
I live in Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, and I have an energy medicine practice. So I have a space in town where I see private clients, and I also teach workshops for people to learn how to extend what we do in the sessions and to take care of themselves and sometimes work with a partner.
Awesome, awesome. So Mary from Fort Collins, can you go?
Yes, my name is Mary Dravis Parrish, and I do energy work, especially with the modality of access bars. And I also coach parents to have more ease and to be more effective in their parenting.
Awesome. And Sharon? Sharon Harvey Alexander, are you there?
Hello. Yes, you broke up as you said shh, so I was wondering if that was me. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
No worries. Hello, all. I am also work in the field of energy and subtle energy awareness. I am a breath coach, and I help people draw in more of the life force energy so they can live a vital and inspired life.
Awesome. Cheryl, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cheryl Burgett I'm the CEO of Your Sales Genius, and I really just help entrepreneurs and practitioners get more sales.
And I'm going to put in a little plug for Cheryl that if you want to take what we're going to talk about today to a higher level, you need to be working with Cheryl.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome. And the other Mary that we have on the call.
Hi, I'm Mary Inger. I own Pikes Peak Lactation in Colorado Springs, and I help moms and babies with breastfeeding.
Mary, did you and I meet a couple of months ago?
We did.
Yeah, actually, it was more than a couple of months ago. I remember you. I've told the story about you a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Eric, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Eric. I am a sales leader with You Define Wellness, and I have my own insurance company.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask Eric if you would please monitor the chat box. So if anything comes up that you want to ask a question, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to do two things at once. I cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. So if you have a question that comes up, please feel free to ask it in the chat box, or if it seems that you can speak up in the course of this conversation, please do that as well. But Eric, if you wouldn't mind monitoring that chat box for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. So let's talk about how to give and get referrals that matter. And if you have any background noise going on, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself just for the benefit of everyone else being able to hear what this conversation is all about. So everybody raise their hand if they want more referrals. And I know you're all on video hiding and you're all raising your hands. What we know is that the referrals are the lifeblood of business success. I had to go, I've been using the word lifeblood, so I had to go and actually look up the definition to make sure I was using it correctly, and I am. It is the indispensable factor or influence that gives something its strength and vitality. And I'm using slides, just so you know, that will wake you up. So, woo, right in your face. And let me talk about when I went into sales. I've been in a sales industry since I started my career in 1981, and everybody kept telling me, oh, you ought to go in sales. You'd be fabulous at it. So in 1999, I did. Actually, in 1995, I did, but I started my own business in 1999. And I have to tell you, I was going nuts because I'd ask my peers in the industry, my mentors, how they built their business, because it seemed like I was struggling. And I was in the insurance world. And I would say that is one of the harder industries in order to get referrals, because there's so many people in the insurance industry. And those referrals tend to go off of trust. And I was struggling to get clients. And so I'd ask the long timers, not the old timers, but I'd ask the long timers, how they built their business, and their response was always referrals. Okay, this kind of ticked me off, because how in the world do you get referrals if you don't have a starting point? So we're going to go through some of what I went through, but also stuff that I have created very recently. And I am fortunate when I say that I get referrals every single day. I'm not kidding. But I am also offering something that is unique, that has not been done in the industry before. And so I'm always hearing people talking about us and saying, it's about time, we've needed that. And so they are reaching out, but they're not converting into the clients that we need. So how do you get referrals if you don't have a starting point? And I'm going to submit to you that you can raise your vibration and your success level by helping others raise their vibration. So we're going to use this acronym of RAISE through this whole thing, and because I just really kind of like it. So we're going to start with how to give referrals. Now you're probably sitting there going, wait a second, I want to learn how to get referrals. Well, you get them when you're good at giving them as well. So here's where I'm going to recommend that you start. And when it comes to giving referrals, is pick someone who you believe in, and that you find yourself talking about what they're doing in the world, and give them a call and say these magic words: I'd like to refer you to people I know. Now, let me ask you, if you got a phone call like that, where somebody said, hey, you know what, I really believe in what you're doing, and I really like it, and I would like to refer to you people that I know, what would your response be? Pretty good, right? So I know I'd accept it willingly. But then you follow it up with, you need to know what their ideal client profile is. So ask them, who is your ideal client? So we're going to talk about ideal clients for a moment. We're going to go to a blue screen here. So in a simplified version, an ideal client profile is specific, and it includes who, why, and how to contact you. So give you an idea. Here's mine without the how to contact me. I have 2 client profiles. Because I have 2 different markets that I'm working in. So my first one are independent wellness professionals who believe complementary alternative and holistic health modalities should be available as an employee benefit program. That's pretty specific, right? On the second one is companies with 2 or more employees and an openness to providing access and education to complementary, alternative, and holistic wellness services. So I'm looking for the wellness practitioners, and I'm looking for the companies for the employee benefit program that my company has created. So I would like you to take a quick moment, and in the chat box, would you please type in your ideal client? And you should be able to find the chat box in the menu, and include in it in addition to your ideal client, put in your contact information as to how you prefer to be contacted, because you never know who could use your services. So Eric, are we getting any comments in the chat box?
I have not seen any yet. Let me see.
You guys struggling with it?
Oh, there we go.
Great. And I know you guys are working on it.
Well, Mary is looking for moms who want to breastfeed.
That's pretty specific. That's good, Mary. I see Cheryl's ideal client is entrepreneurs who need more sales. Wow, that's really dialed in and specific. Love it. Okay, I'm going to assume you all are working on this little project, but we're going to move into Raise, because this is an hour-long program and we are already 15 minutes into it. So let's go to the R. The first step, and I had to come up with some words for all of these to go with Raise. I loved it. So, rave. Rave about the person you wish to refer. So this is, what I'm talking about here are those who are constantly talking about you, or that you find yourself constantly talking about. I get this all the time, where I had a conversation with someone just last week, and she says, I am talking to you, talking about you all the time. And that was fantastic. I love that. I love that energy. And I am always getting phone calls from someone who says, I heard about you from someone so-and-so, but then I also heard about you from so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. So I know people are talking about me, but when I went to this woman's profile in my database where I track where I get my referrals from, she'd never given me one. I love the fact she's talking about me out there, and it's raising the vibration, and it's absolutely happening. It's wonderful, but it's not going anywhere further. So my job is now to train her on some of the other things that we can be doing. So rave is the first step, is knowing that you're out there talking about people on the street, but check yourself and find out who it is that you're raving about, because that's who you're going to want to work this little project on. Now, what I find and these are completely unscientific studies, I'm guessing that when this is all that's happening in the referral process, about 5% of them turn into clients for me. So I need to have a ton of people talking about me if I want to build my business off of referrals from just people talking about me on the street. Second step, A, acquaint. This is what we normally see, where you are introducing two people to each other. Maybe it's through social media, maybe it's through an email introduction. I get most of mine actually in an email introduction. Hey, Denise, I'd like to introduce you to Sue, and you guys know how to take it from here. You guys connect. That's wonderful. It raises the vibration, and it gets that process going. But in my experience, and your numbers might be different than mine, but in my experience, about 10% of those actually translate into becoming a client eventually. And the reason is that because the moment you hand off that kind of an introduction, that it is the urgency diminishes, if that makes any sense to all of you. And there's a couple things I want to point out on this second step. Email introductions that are cold, without the personal, hey, you've had a conversation about me in the past, will also fall into this category. And that's a lot of the introductions I get. They are cold introductions. There's no heat that's been built up to it whatsoever in order for us to be able to move it forward. The odds will go up when you do this introduction to say, hey, I'd like to introduce you to so-and-so. And by the way, here's a link to their website, or here's a link to their video that's really short that talked about what it is that they do. Really like you to take a look at it. without the next steps in the process, welcome to chase mode. Have you all been there? I have. It's not a fun place to be, because you make that introduction and it's really cool, and the other person responds and, hey, yeah, we need to find a time to get together and talk, and sometimes it'll lead to the actual meeting, but it's amazing how many times when it comes to that actual meeting, I get a text message or I get a voicemail or an email saying, oh my gosh, something's come up, I'm going to have to reschedule it, and then it's reschedule after reschedule after reschedule. You're in chase mode, and that's not a fun place to live. So what do? Here's where we get into the fun stuff. The I stands for initiate, and that is initiate a meeting. Literally get it set up. So in that email, hey, Denise, I'd like to introduce you to Sue. Sue does this. Denise does this. I'd love to get you both on a phone call. I'm good on Tuesday at 3 o'clock or even Monday at 4. Which one works better for you guys? Because I'd like to introduce you in a phone call or a Zoom call. I love it when this happens, because that then ties the person who you're getting referred to action. It involves the referrer, and it does not take a whole lot of time to do this, but it's also going to solidify the relationship between you and both parties when you're making that introduction. And here's what I find is when somebody will do this, and they do, on my email, I have a link to my online scheduler. So people do set appointments on there without me knowing about it. All of a sudden something will show up in the comments. I have to figure out what's going on. That's okay. I'll figure it out. It's good. But here's what happens is that the close rate on those goes up to about 50%. Huge jump. And if you're looking for the words to say, these are the ones that I just shared with you, a version of it. And so if you want to take a screenshot of this, you are welcome to do it. I am recording this, not quite sure how I'm going to send it out. If you want me to send this recording to you, please make sure that your email address is in the chat box so that I can capture it and send it over to you. I'm not 100% certain I want to put this out in the world because I'm not certain how I'm going to use this yet. But it's obviously I want to help use it to increase my visibility in what I'm to my ideal clients as well. Okay, let's go back to the fourth step is sit. And I mean sit at the table. You set up that meeting. Make sure you are there for that call that you have set up. And just a side note, you can do face-to-face meetings. I'm not a huge fan of them for my own business, and here's the reason why. Those face-to-face meetings are what, hour-long conversation. You've driven across town. That took how long to get there and the time to get back. You've invested in a cup of coffee, and of course the gas is in your tank. And I have so many meetings that take place that it's hard to put those in. So I prefer phone and Zoom, but that is my own preference. You may prefer to actually sit in front of someone with a cup of coffee. But when you're giving a referral, make sure that you're volunteering to be there, even if it's for the first 5 to 10 minutes of a phone call to do the introductions and do the handoff. I prefer that you're actually on the call for the whole thing, but I respect your time and I understand you may not be able to. But here's what happens when you actually sit at the table. The close rate goes up a lot more. And again, these are unscientific numbers. They're based upon my perception more than anything else. There's one last step that can really turn you into a good source of referrals for people, and that is to do the engagement after that meeting and be involved in the follow-up. And here's what I mean by it. I was introduced by a friend to a women's mastermind organization that they meet via Zoom once a month. It's a 2.5-hour commitment to go through their mastermind program. And ultimately you got to experience it for free, but ultimately it's a sales pitch to join the organization. And the person who referred me to it, man, she's been trained really, really well, because literally within 5 to 10 minutes of getting off the call, I had a message from her. It wasn't even a phone call. It took her no time at all to really do this. But she sent me a message saying, so what'd you think about it? And we ended up engaging in a conversation. And I shared with her what my roadblock was. But because of her involvement and solidifying that this was a really good organization, she was able to address any objections that I had. I'm going to be investing in a membership in that organization when the time is right. It's not right today, but it will be right in the future. And so I'm going to say that in my experience, what happens is that the closure rate is closer to 100%. I'm going to say 90%, allowing for a little free will in there. So let's get a little feedback going on here. If you want to unmute yourself, talk to me. What do you feel about this process? What feelings are coming up and objections that you're having? Anyone? Are you good with it? Is this something that you feel that you can do? Or are you feeling that this is kind of pushy? Or maybe you're too busy to get involved at this level. Maybe you're thinking, I have my own business to run.
The busyness does work in when I am referring one person to another person, helping their businesses.
Okay, that's valid. It's a valid concern. The next couple slides, I hope I address that, Eric, because I will tell you, if you invest this extra time, and it's not a whole lot of time, you have solidified your relationship with both parties, and you can increase your business by solidifying that relationship. Any other objections? I mean, first time I thought about this and sat down and somebody approached me with this concept, because this is not a Denise unique type thing. There are no unique ideas. They're all bouncing around the universe. They just land in different ways. I have to tell you that I was like, oh yeah. There is when you simply hand off an email introduction saying, hey, I want to introduce you to, I think there's some synchronicity there. You guys know how to take it from there. You're out of the picture. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And if there's a no, it's not a reflection on you, right? So is this valid? Are there any others that come up?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say something about my referral process. I usually send clients to other practitioners that I have a trusted relationship with and use myself. Mm-hmm. And it's usually when I work on them and I see things that are beyond what I can help them with. Yeah. I just share my own experience with that other practitioner and how he or she is or has helped me. And usually they can't wait to go see that person. Yeah. I keep their business cards in my office, and it's really easy to refer people when it's somebody you trust in and utilize yourself. So
yeah, absolutely.
When you send people to me when they know that I can help their patients or clients in a different way from what they can do. It's really a different system from cold introductions.
That is the best form of referral, is when you know there's a need and somebody who can serve it, and those are not exactly the referrals that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about more the cold ones, when you're wanting to build your business by having people talk about you and start referring you out. When you have an exact need and an exact solution, I think those close really fast. But when we're building our businesses and trying to get people to be coming in and having people talk about us out there, that opens up a whole different process in how do we go about doing it, because we don't always know if somebody has a problem. When they're your client and they have expressed to you a problem and you know that you can't serve them, but you know someone else who can, that is one situation. And those are the best referrals to give, because they do close typically. But when you're just building and you want people to say, hey, would you start talking about me? Let me give you a perfect example. This is not uncommon. I get people who contact me all the time. I have at least one phone call a day with someone who does this. And it's a wellness professional who wants to build their business. They are interested in learning a little bit about what we do. But at the end of the phone call, when they say to me, so, if you know anybody who would like to improve their health, would you please refer them to me? That's not very specific, and I can't do it. That's living in hopa land, that by throwing it out there, that somebody's going to respond. This is the same as the people on Facebook, and if some of you have done this, I don't mean to offend by saying this, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 Facebook requests a day to friend someone who is in the wellness industry. Typically, I had 3 this morning that were not in the wellness industry. They just happened to see that we had a lot of friends in common, so decided to friend me. So I get all these Facebook requests from people who are in the wellness industry or they're self-employed. They own a business that makes widgets, let's just say, that has nothing to do with my industry. And then they send me, if I accept it, and I only accept those from people who are in the wellness industry, they then immediately send me a request to like their Facebook page. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't like you in terms of the little like symbol. Okay. Not that I dislike you. And what they're doing by friending a million people without then making the connection, hey, thank you for accepting my friend request. I'd really like to get to know you. They're living in hopa land that somebody is just going to like them and see what they do and contact them to do business with them. Or they're looking to show that a lot of people like them by their Facebook pages, even though they have nothing to do with them. I will not like a Facebook page if I don't know you, because it's an implied endorsement, in my opinion. That's just my own opinion, and other people might take different stances on it. So anyways, I hope I kind of addressed that issue. I wandered, as I typically do. Let's move on.
Denise?
Yeah.
I just have can you give me one more example of the engage part?
Absolutely. So I get referrals on a regular basis from a woman who gives the best introductions via email. If you've got a really good, solid introduction as to why that fits the needs of both people, and this woman tends to do that. We have a very high close rate, but she does go the one step further, and she follows up with the person that she made a referral to and just says something along the lines. She'll contact me and say, so how did the conversation go? Was it a fit? Just wanted to know. Now, what it does is it keeps her in my mind so that when somebody needs what she does, she's my first go-to person. Not that I'm trying to do a preference over anyone else, but I know what she's like to work with because we've built a relationship based on trust and respect, and that means respect for each other's business. Does that make sense? Does that help a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just as simple as dropping a note. It can be a Facebook message. It could be a text message. I have somebody who sent me a text message earlier this week and just said, wanting to let you know I met someone at a networking group. Here's what her name is, and she may be contacting you. Now, she didn't give me the person's contact information. She didn't do this connection back and forth. But last night she contacted me and said, so were you guys able to connect? Is everything going well? And then it opened up an opportunity to have another conversation about our business together. So engagement is not a waste of time. It helps build the whole process.
Okay, thank you.
It's the icing on the cake. Okay. Let me ask you something. If someone did this for you and said, hey, I want to introduce you to someone. Here's the process. or here's who they are and what they're all about. And I'd really like to set up a phone call where I can introduce the two of you and explain why I love you both so very much. And even participate in that conversation if you guys are okay with it. And then follows up with a, hey, by the way, I talked to the person I refer you to, and this is their one objection that they may not have told you about. You might want to reach out to them and be able to address it because I think that they're ready to go. How would you feel getting a referral like that? Would you guys like it?
I would vote yes.
Yeah, I know. I feel great.
Yeah.
Because it helped me build my business, and I'm now committed to that person who has done the referrals to help them build their business. Now, it has to be authentic. If you really don't like that person at all, you're going to have to find a way to exit out of that relationship. Don't just take their referrals because you want their referrals and you want the business and you want to make money. It helps when it's a reciprocal relationship. And it really does not take a huge investment of time. And I've already covered this next one. That you may be making that personal connection with the person who's receiving the referrals. Okay, so let's talk about what you do when, what if somebody's giving you a referral and they don't know this process? They're just, you get an email out of the blue, hey, I want to introduce you to someone. You know, hey, by the way, Denise has an employee benefit program for alternative and holistic healing. And hey, you do massage therapy. And I think that you two should talk because there might be a fit. That's typically what the referral looks like that I get. It's better than cold, but there's no, unless the person I'm getting referred to is really feeling pain and needs to do something to change what their business is all about, or this is what they've always dreamed of, they tend to fall away. So let's talk about what you could do in receiving a referral like that. It's okay before, I'm going to do a public, reply all, hey, Sue, thanks for thinking of me. I really appreciate that. You're awesome. And then I'll say something to the person referred, hey, it's great to meet you through email. I typically will say something like, in this kind of a situation, I'll contact you separately so that we can take Sue out of the conversation. And I'll tell you what happens. The interest and the response rate goes immediately down. So I stopped doing that. So here's what I'm doing now. Literally as of this week, I decided, okay, you got to walk the talk. I will, before I respond to that email, I'm going to contact the person who referred me and just, number one, I want to learn a little bit more information. And number two, I will ask them, would you be willing to sit on an introductory call to attend the meeting so you could, introduce us personally. The number of referrals coming to me might drop with people saying, oh, I'm too scared to do that. I don't want to do that. Or that's way too much time. Denise is asking too much. But my chase mode factor will have gone down. I will be saving time in the long run and for them as well. So I'm going to ask the person giving the referral, are you willing to do this? And if they are, great. I'm going to reply all, hey, great. Hey, I had a chance to talk to Sue. We would love to get on a phone call together with you. You can either do it, here's a link to my schedule, or I double checked with her, and here are 3 times that she's available and I'm available. Do one of those work for you? It won't take much of your time. I promise it's not a sales pitch. I just want to get to know you better, and I would like you to get to know me better, and I'd love to have Sue participate and share a little bit as well. It's not threatening. It's not scary. The worst thing they're going to do is say no. You'll live. Okay? Next thing, referred. And in that phone call with them, I want to refer to the process I want to go through and let them know that I would love to be in service to them, and how can I give them referrals as well? Who is your ideal client? How can we figure this out? Love to make some introductions. What do you need today? Giving something in return. So I need to ask the question in the last few minutes here is, do you offer referral sources compensation? Anyone? Yes? No? I can't see you because of the way I have my screen right now.
I do not.
You do not. Does anybody?
I don't
Yeah, this
either,
is Cheryl.
and I think it's actually illegal for the medical professionals.
Depends on the industry that you're in. Absolutely, it does.
I do give thank you notes and things like
Yep.
that when I get, especially when I get 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yes, thank you notes are huge.
It's what?
Thank you notes are huge.
You know, a thank you note that you send to their home address is even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Denise,
a real thank you note.
can you hear me,
Absolutely.
Denise?
Huh?
This is Cheryl. So I just want to tell you, if a referral, I always thank the person who sent me the referral. If the referral turns into business, I absolutely send a thank you in the form of, I'll send a, $70 basket to appreciate the referral. If it turns into a client, I always thank them. Yeah, so I don't necessarily, and I'm open to different ways of doing that. And there's different levels of referrals too. So, but if it does turn into a client, I do send them some type of gift.
Absolutely. There are programs out there, particularly affinity programs, which is actually not a word that you can use in Colorado, but I'm going to use it anyways. So affinity programs are when you do get compensated by someone that you're referring to, such as this mastermind group that I was telling you about, this call that I was on. They do thank yous in hard cash to the person who has done the referral. And there's I work with a company called Mindful Market that does have an affinity program where they will compensate for referrals. So it's a way that you can supplement your income as a wellness practitioner, because there's nothing illegal about receiving them. In some industries, you're absolutely correct. It is illegal to give them. So that's one thing to think about is when you're looking at your business is, do you believe so much in someone's product that you want to participate in a referral income program? I frequently turn them down, which is really ironic because I offer them as well, but I offer them for the people who want to participate in them. And so when I'm talking to someone as a referral source, I will bring up the compensation program, and that, and let them know that, if we will pay up to $100 when somebody becomes a client. And, if they give us referrals, if I can train them on how to use this process effectively, their income can actually go up significantly by following the process. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this since you guys are not offering them, but it is something to consider for your own business, is if you do believe in a product, if it's something that you want to talk to about having another form of income for your business. Okay, so I'm going to issue all of you a challenge, and that is to commit to following these steps on the next referral you give, or go find someone that you would like to start recommending out there and try it one time. Send that an email introduction, and when you send that email introduction, say, I'd love to arrange a phone call between the three of you. I have already talked to Sue, and I know these are the dates on her schedule. She's available. Does it work for you? You will immediately gauge the response of the person receiving the referral as to whether or not you're going to take it anywhere. And you know what? Weeding out the no's is just as good as cultivating the yeses. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I rejoice with every no, because I know when the next yes will come, because I know what's going to happen. Yes, I would like them to be a yes, but I want them to be a yes for the right reasons. So initiate that meeting, sit in on it, if even for the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you can, do that follow-up after the call, immediately after the call, and just say, what did you think? Are there any questions that I can answer for you? And that, again, that gets that conversation going of how can I be, if this introduction did not work for you, how can I be of service to your business? And you've just started a whole nother chain. You might be surprised at the results. So here is my contact information, but it's also in the chat box. And, I wish for nothing more than unlimited abundance from you. But what I'm going to do right now, and hopefully you caught this in the chat box, is I'm going to stop the share so that I can see your lovely faces and see how many people are on the call now, more than what was there before. So this is exciting. So let's have open conversation and discussion. Hi, Eric. Any thoughts? Is this something that you can do?
Most of my referrals just come from somebody saying, hey, so-and-so said you can help. As far as the receiving, I don't, unless I'm a member of BNI at that point or something, those are the only referrals I get.
Say that part again.
The only unless I'm a member of BNI where the referrals is more formalized,
Mm-hmm.
the only ones I get are so and so told me to call you.
Yeah. I don't belong to any industry groups. You guys might, but I don't belong to any industry groups where referrals are kind of required for being a member. That is an expectation that is there. I don't at this point in time, mostly because I don't have the time to commit to an organization like that. When I have belonged in the past, I found that they resulted in having a lot of cups of coffee, and good to learn about the other person's business, and good for me to be able to talk about my business. But I wanted to be on a faster track for building the business. And you can only do so many cups of coffee unless you stack them up at the same place. So, being able to cultivate referrals, being able to ask for them, but the best thing, Cheryl would be great at teaching you on how to ask for referrals. And we just lost Cheryl, unfortunately. I find it's best to receive by giving. That's just my own personal philosophy. And that's why I'm recommending to you, if you want to learn how to get referrals and receive referrals, the best way to do it is to be in the practice of giving referrals. Does that help?
Denise,
Yeah.
Denise, I appreciate all of this because I agree with you on that. I don't know how many times I've had people say to me, I've referred to you so many times, and it's like, and I never hear anything from those people, and it's really kind of frustrating. So being able to model it for others and to be able to maybe even coach people in how to do that as they say, I want to refer. But the best way to coach it is to do it. So I'm up for the challenge. Thank you.
I'm going to be interested in seeing how that goes. Please keep me posted. All of you, reach out to me and let me know. If you had any stumbling blocks, if you had any, the success that you have from it. I think that let me give you a last personal example. And that is, I have a specific need right now in my business. And it's a challenge that I'm facing, and I went very, very public with it. And I've had all kinds of people reaching out to me saying, hey, you should talk to so-and-so, and here's their phone number, or they're tagged on Facebook, so they're getting the message as well. But I haven't had one single person with all of these saying, you know what, I know someone who I think can really help you with this. It is John Smith, and tagged him on Facebook and said, I'd like to set up a time for the two of you to talk and introduce you over a phone call. Nobody has done that yet. There's a lot of tags. They're not motivated necessarily to respond, but they would be motivated if they said, hey, I want to do it. And it just would solidify that relationship. One came from somebody who is I'm just going to say massage therapist. I'm not entirely certain. But this is a great way for that person to suddenly get in John Smith's mind that, hey, I should be giving that person referrals. Maybe they already are. I don't know, but maybe they're not. So it can take things to a much higher level. Any other stories, ideas, suggestions? What are you doing? What can we help you with? I know you're muted.
I found it's odd. I give referrals and give referrals. The more referrals I give, even if they have nothing to do with other people, I get more referrals.
You do.
So I give them over here, then I get them from over here. It's just the universe saying, hey, yeah, keep doing that. That's good.
Yeah. And Mary, you had a good point. And then I had also mentioned, I think earlier, is that, it's the talking about it, is that it really does blow my mind how many people will say to me, oh, I talk about you all the time. The next step that I'm going to be implementing at this point is that is absolutely awesome. How can we elevate that to another level? And then what can I do for you for your business?
Actually, I wanted to ask you, this is Mary, what do you share about me? And has that helped you? And as you share about me, does that help me? That's
really good. That is really good. And I think that that's something that I definitely need to incorporate in the next conversation that I have when somebody says, oh, I talk about you all the time, is to be able to say, would you mind telling me what is it that you're sharing?
Yeah.
And absolutely, because you want to hear about it. If you're in an industry where, like these people I'm on the phone call with who say, hey, if you know anybody who wants to have better health, please refer them to me. And there's a lot of people doing that. And you see a lot of people going to networking groups and saying things like that in their 30-second introduction. Hey, if you want to have better health, please contact me. That's going to go back to really identifying, even fine-tuning what that, be more specific about what you're asking for. Let it be known what you are specifically asking for. I'm looking for to connect with women between the ages of 40 and 60 that perhaps are currently going through menopause and they're noticing changes in their body, and they want to start feeling better because it's feeling kind of icky right now. That's pretty specific, and I can tell you that women going through menopause talk about it a lot on social media. And I love some of your ideal client profiles. Just make sure that the people out there, when they're talking about it, when you're asking people for a referral, that you are sharing that ideal client.
So
okay.
I got everybody's ideal client and contact information from the chat box. Should I put that up on the Facebook page connected with this event?
No, I am going to save the chat right now.
Okay.
And I will have it available. What I will do is I will send all of you a copy of this recording along with the chat. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate it. This was our dry run of this program. If it has been of benefit to you, please let others know about it on social media. And if you can support any of the people that were on this call with their ideal client, please reach out and work this on them. They already know the system. They're going to reciprocate. So blessings to all of you. Have a fantastic day. And again, thank you for being here today.
Cool.
Thank you,
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks.